Right, I'm here with Sam Trethewey, following his presentation at Marcus Oldham College in the Centre for the Study of Rural Australia forum on social media and agriculture this morning. Sam presented a fascinating presentation about building business brands and using social media as a tool in building that brand. Sam, I'm wondering if you can extend and give us an overview about the traditional brand culture in agriculture and follow on about the opportunities that we've got with social media to build that brand and follow into our responsibility in representing that brand in agriculture.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, mate. I think the thing that we've got to remember that I've identified in agriculture is that there is a real kind of disconnect in the brand of ag. If you talk to lots of different people in the industry, you'll get lots of different responses as to how they feel about their own culture or the culture of agriculture. So I suppose I see it as a unique opportunity using social media to connect with people at all areas of the industry and in urban areas and things like that. Social media is a really great vehicle to after you've worked on your brand and you've worked on your message, about communicating that to those people and sharing that. And I think, shifting the perceptions of agriculture then. I think that people becoming more aware of farmers using social media is a really great thing. Typically, social media and sitting in a tractor on your smartphone is not something I think a lot of people assume a farmer does. So if you've got farmers out there creating messages and telling their stories through mediums like social media, I think it's a really good way of getting, I suppose, a message across, and I suppose changing perceptions on that kind of stereotypical farmer that we see in the media. Every time a farmer is thrown around in the media, you'll see a photo of a man in his 50s standing in a wheat field, with a crappy old hat and a really bad wardrobe, literally just watching the wheat field, and that's what people see, and that's what people think farmers are about. And I mean, as you're aware, being a young farmer and myself, it's quite the opposite. With the technology and access we have these days, those kind of things, it's very different.
For sure. I suppose it's something that we haven't been good at conveying is what we actually do, and we take for granted that everyone does know what we do. And your video you showed this morning was a perfect example of that. People really don't understand what's actually happening.
Really, really true.
I suppose as younger generations come through, we need to really use these tools to build that brand of agriculture and convey that to everyone and convey the good things that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, for young people to be involved in this process is really, really critical. And that like I spoke about in my presentation, when you walk into a bar in Melbourne or a restaurant or whatever it is, you are representing agriculture. People don't think of it like that. And that really the whole industry is sitting on your shoulders. This person doesn't know anything about ag and farmers is going to be using you as an opinion, as an embodiment of an industry, and it's about communicating those values and things that are really important to you, that is also important to them, that's going to help shape the kind of perception of agriculture.
For sure. And you're talking about the extension of that brand. Using different means to extend the brand.
Yeah, sure.
And just, I guess, the role that social media can play in that, and there's so many different forms of it these days.
Yeah, there is. I think with social media, it's like any kind of branding exercise. It's got to be consistent, and you've got to keep it positive.
Yes.
So every time you send a tweet, upload something on Facebook or put something on YouTube, it is in effect an extension of your message, and so something that you're about, that your brand's about, that you've worked on. That when you hit before you hit post, is it an embodiment of what I'm saying? Is it a part of what I'm trying to achieve? Because if it's not, and you're compromising that, you're going to then compromise the values of the people that are receiving that information. That's when we see a disconnect happening. So.
And you said just then about consistent and positive.
Yeah.
Can you extend on that further for us in regard to the needs to get out of that stereotype of busted old farmer who's
Yeah.
battling and always in drought, and the loss of interest that
Yeah.
you get in your audience and in consumers, and tell me how it's so necessary to be positive and portray positive aspects.
Yeah, sure. So if you can imagine, and every industry is often faced with one, a kind of, if you can imagine that the industry is just pottering along here. Let's use live export.
Yes.
Everyone understands it.
Yes.
It's going along here, and then there's the seats in live export. So there's
Yes.
a huge bubble of attention and media attention and exposure, and that's where foxes put amongst the chickens, or whatever that expression is, where everyone just goes everywhere. It's all crazy, and people then are hanging on for information. I think the opportunity agriculture has is to build a brand and to distribute their message in this, the calm before the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So through social media, you connect with people in the city. You're connecting with people in different groups and societies and other areas of interest. And you're building a really thick, comprehensive web and net of information for people that have no idea about these kind of issues. So when there is a big blowout, that they've already got a point of contact, that they've already aligned with someone who knows the story, who isn't necessarily media based, who can speak truthfully, and who's had a consistent and a positive message all the way through. You'll find that when something like this happens, when the big blow up goes, that the kind of people that are involved with, or that want to find out more about live export or whatever the bubble burst has been about, that they've already got connections and networks with people that have been continuously positive and consistently positive throughout this lead up. And I think that's where the power in social media in that example really lies.
For sure. On behalf of Marcus Oldham, thank you very much, Sam, for coming today.
Absolute pleasure, man.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, cool. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Good on you.
Good.